Re-recording.
All
Okay.
right. Do a little intro, little outro.
Yeah.
And then call it a day.
Cool.
Cool?
Yeah.
All right. Introduction coming in 3, 2. To Get With The Programming, I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grundler.
Wolverine.
And this is a very special episode, a brand new series we are calling Behind the Programming. And we've been wanting to do this since we've started. And, you know, Bill, you're a big fan of programming.
I do like programming.
Just a little bit. I'm a big fan of the old programming.
I like the whiteboard. I like the whiteboard, fresh ball of clay, feel, you know.
The artistry that is programming.
Give me my canvas, if you will. You know?
And we know there's a lot of people who love programming. There's a lot of popular programs out there. And what do we wanted to do with this series was talk to the individual programmers out there behind the programming. So the, who's behind Misfits, Invictus, Brute, Comptrain, Street Parking, all of these different popular programs around the world. And, Bill, you got the legacy program. That's yours. Yeah. And what we want to do is to peek behind the curtain. We see the final result. We wanted to talk about the hows and the whys. What drives these people? How did they come to this? Why do they do this? And just get into more details. And in this episode, we're going to bring in Harry Palley from Comptrain, the Trials Finals by Loud Live completed about a month ago. They had the Latin American trials, the Spanish European trials, and the US trials. And what they did is they took the top 3 in every age division and they qualified for a live broadcast of those qualifying events, which you and I just completed last weekend.
Yep.
You got to come to Dallas, which was awesome.
Awesome.
And
see some snow.
See my kids.
Yeah. Got to see the famous Instagram famous kids.
Yeah, Lee. Old Dylan and Blake. Oh man, it was so fun. Bill's a super dad.
I like kids.
Bill can get into super play mode, super dad mode. And it was like as soon as we got here, because usually my son and daughter are very standoffish of new people. They get that from their mother. I've never met a stranger in my life, clearly. And Dylan didn't have that at all. He's like, "Hey, Dylan, this is Bill," and he's like, "Come play with me." And he's like, "All right, let's go.
Let's do it." It was
really cool. That was really fun to watch. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to reach out to Harry Palley, who was the programmer and head programmer of Comptrain.
Yeah.
And no, this wasn't specifically for Comptrain. This was for the Trials Finals that we just did. Now, we'll revisit with Harry a little bit later and for this episode, but it was really fun to get into the details with him and a slight peek behind the curtain of the programming. But the goal behind this series is we want to do some things for our regular show, and we want to do a lot of things for our programatrons, our patron supporters, because our patron supporters are obviously fans of programming just as much as we are. And if you guys aren't on patreon.com, you can support the show for $6 a month, more than you guys already do. And we will give you exclusive content. We do a lot of episodes, probably about 1 or 2 a month just for our programatrons. We give a free weekly workout that we've been doing since, we've been doing that for months now.
I think we're like 3 months now.
Every week we'll pick a new Patreon or programatron and give them a free month of programming just from us.
Yeah.
At the same time as this series, Behind the Programming, we want to give our programming nerds some programming nerd feed. And that's to pick the brains of some of the top programmers around the world.
Yeah. And, and it was super fun to talk. What's fun is when you get to talk to these programmers. And I guess probably reality, the first person we did that with was Dave Castro.
That's true.
And what was interesting, you go to the top of the chain, I guess, but what was interesting was whenever we talk to these guys, so we know how giddy we get when we talk about our little creation or whatever that is, and we get really excited about it. But we saw that with Dave We talked to Harry. We saw that with Harry. It's just
Yeah.
really fun that all of the persona stuff gets ripped away, and then there's that little kid that is just finger painting, and that's really what it looks like. I mean, like, cool, and I'm smearing, and I got reds, and I'm gonna take this yellow, and I'm gonna do that, and they get excited, which maybe I like that, because then I don't feel so awkward when I am getting excited about my numbers and rounds and reps and whatever. So it's like, okay,
right.
it's normal. It's normal for us to be excited about that. So it's really fun to see that that unprotected, pure enjoyment, just watching the wheels turn, and the creation and the inspiration behind a lot of that. I mean, there's so much creativity that goes into programming, and individual creativity, which I just think it's awesome. It's so fun to see.
I think you had mentioned this on a previous episode, that you love, sometimes you can see the programmer within the programming.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We liken that to any type of art, whether it's music, sculpting, painting, anything like that. There is always a personal thread weaved into each canvas, and we got to see that with Harry, and we'll have Harry join us here in just a second. Before we do, we want to thank our partner of the show, Bubsnaturals. I mean, I know you're bubbing.
I'm double bubbing. I always double my bub.
Since
double my bub.
4:30 in the morning. It's 10:30 now, so I've been bubbing for a strong 6 hours. But
Dang.
If you guys haven't tried Bubsnaturals, they make a MCT oil powder and a collagen protein that is the most kick-ass thing I could put in my coffee that I have ever done. And it actually does amazing things for you, from mental clarity, appetite suppression in a good way, right? You get you get that little, especially if you're like fasting a little bit in the morning.
Yeah, you get that sustenance. Man, just carries you through.
And it tastes so damn good, and it puts some creaminess in your coffee. And let's not even talk about let's talk about the benefits of collagen protein, but that's just a bonus.
Oh yeah.
I still think the biggest bonus is that how seamlessly it blends into your coffee.
Of all the health benefits you get, the best one you can do is the way it blends into my coffee is so nicely.
The best thing that I mean, yes, all these amazing things you get. And I'm telling you, like, amazing things that we all do need on a daily basis. And I'm just a fan that I don't get like a gritty, proteiny, creatine grind in my coffee. There's nothing at the bottom of my cup when it's unbelievable.
Residue is a don't, and it doesn't in this one. Man, I
love it.
It's really, really good. No.
If you guys haven't tried it, you got to go try it. We're not just saying that because we're partners with them. We're only partners with them because we truly love the product itself. If you guys want to get a good discount, go to bubsnaturals.com. Use the code GETWITH20 for 20% off. If you've been bubbing with us since we started, keep on bubbing, because 10% of all their profits, they donate to charity. All of them. Every time, every day of the year, 24/7, 365. So not only are you getting some good stuff in your coffee, you just get some good warm feels on the back end, knowing that you are contributing to that charity through Bubs. So without further ado, we are going to bring in Harry Palley of Comptrain, your programmer for the Trials Finals. I'd like to welcome in the head programmer for the Trials Finals, Harry Palley. Thank you for joining us, man. Me and Bill spent 2 straight days of broadcasting all of the Masters divisions and all the events. So we got to be very intimate with what the programming looked like, but at the same time, we both we did it as well. So we wanted to pick your brain a little bit on the how and the whys. But first, we wanted to get to know you. But hey, thanks for being here and joining us on the show.
It's an absolute honor, guys. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure talking to you.
So guys,
as always, and super psyched to watch the show.
So what is we people draw inspirations from different things. What's your background with CrossFit, and maybe background prior to CrossFit that you lean on or got you to this position that you're at now?
It's an awesome question. I definitely look at myself in the mirror as kind of like a classical CrossFitter of sorts. And when I look at my programming in hindsight, it's almost always, and I definitely think about this during the course of the creation too, I'm a very simple programmer, and I love classic CrossFit. And the biggest reason for that, which kind of inspires me to do the types of workouts that I create, is I think it's a lot of like camaraderie. And it sounds kind of funny saying that word, but when I think about one of the reasons why this stuff, CrossFit's so sticky, I think it's because we can all relate to each other. We can all like feel in the stands what double DT's about to be like for those games athletes. And from Catching David's Daughters down to like myself and the brand new CrossFitter, if we have a relationship with the workout, whether it's like one experience in the past where we've seen it done before, it's very fun. And like, it's the workout we start to talk about, we want to do together. So a lot of their workouts are kind of always founded through those basic CrossFit, simple but elegant principles.
Now, how long have you been doing CrossFit? When did you start?
Started around 2008.
Okay.
And I started really programming. I fell in love with pro, which is the strangest thing, at least at that time, saying it.
You're in the right field right now. You're in the room of like programming nerds, so you're in the right place. Don't even feel bad or feel weird about it.
Yeah, 15 years ago, I never would have saw myself like, really, that's what I'm going to be passionate about. And now I'm like the ultimate nerd. Like, it's the best.
Yeah.
But 2009, I started to mess around with creating things. It was actually for the Marine Corps. So when I first started training for the Marines, I was a former high school football player and not in great shape, especially conditioning shape. So these workouts lit me up, and I was like, this is it. I need to be doing these things. And fast forward, it helped me prepare myself, my platoon, and I just became more and more passionate about it, as it was fantastic overseas to keep the platoon in shape, keep us all in shape, and together, speaking of camaraderie. So I just fell deeper and deeper in love with it. And the moment I came back out, I had returned back to my home gym, back to Ben, and just could not wait. Yeah.
That's very cool. Now, obviously, when people think of Comptrain, they think of Ben Bergeron. I mean, the guy's been around forever, so I can definitely see how you would be in that old school vein of programming and CrossFit. I mean, we're kind of the same thing. We're the pre-2010 CrossFitters, you know. But you're like the unknown soldier when it comes to the Comptrain realm. Like, they kind of know that's you, but I think people don't really understand how much of you that is. So when did that transition happen? When you became the guy for that?
It's a good question. It's so funny how the years blur together.
Yeah.
So I remember I moved back, and it was around 2013. And shortly thereafter, maybe about a year later, I started programming at first for just the gym, just for CFNA. Which continues to this day to be kind of like the bedrock of Comptrain programming, the conditioning. It's the heart and soul of it, much like every program for sure. And then I started to dive more into Comptrain right around the year of 2016, I believe. And the first actually program of ours was Comptrain Masters. And kind of grew in that nature. And slowly, as much as I love the gym, it was one of those moments where you need to kind of figure out where you're going to spend your time. And I got more and more specific as we grew in just that programming field for the most part. Still work with some athletes, of course, but right around 2016 was that jump to really start to program more often.
Very cool. I think I saw you guys jump it down at Wadapalooza around that time, where you guys started all cruising around with the Comptrain shirts, and
Yeah.
I remember you guys all coming into the field, and I was like, oh, all right, because I remember watching the Comptrain thing as well and seeing how it was set up and the way that Ben was putting it out there originally, and what you guys were doing with that, and then seeing you guys branch off. So that was really interesting to watch you guys do that. It's cool.
It was a super fun time.
Yeah.
I still have a soft spot for competitions like that, because even though it was a fiercely competitive competition, it's almost like that backyard CrossFit competition that, you know, beers are coming out during the last heat, like stuff like that. I still have a soft spot for that. So it's like, and that crew was fantastic. A warm spot in my heart for sure for that. Yeah.
Very cool.
I want to go back to so you were in the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
So you started CrossFit while you were still in the Marine Corps, or getting ready for?
Getting ready for.
Okay.
And it was, I attribute all of my ability to get into shape to CrossFit. I was doing the classical train for the physical fitness test, which at the time was just a 3-mile run, strict pull-ups, and crunches.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where, like, if you don't know any better, that's all you do. But fast forward into your boot camp or officer candidate school, you're going to be rude awakening. So it was CrossFit was like a blessing to me, like massively. I went from 220 of like football weight down to 180, and
wow, that's huge.
CrossFit. It was really fun. Yeah.
So how much training did you do while you're in the Marine Corps? And you said you got, your platoon involved as well. Was that your doing? Did you get everybody involved with that? Is that something that you managed and ran?
Yeah, it was actually a fantastic opportunity to share this stuff. And at that time, so that was 2009, 10, 11, there was actually like a little bit of animosity on CrossFit growing into the Marine. So it's right at the same time where the games actually came to Camp Pendleton. Remember that year?
Oh, yeah. I remember that year well.
In the hills,
oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Like, small side note of that, my base was Camp Horno, which was literally within a half mile of that. And I never knew that was going down to the day of. Like, a party in my backyard. I didn't know about it. I was like, couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. I felt so ridiculous. Smart guy I am, huh? It's crazy. But it was an interesting time to get this fitness program to, God bless them, I love them to death, 18, 19-year-olds who aren't really super keen on putting in extra time to PT. They'll stay in shape for sure, but as expected, gonna have to like disguise it in different ways. But it was the backbone to my my training program, and I absolutely loved the effects it brought to all of us.
I brought this when I started doing CrossFit. I brought it to my fire guys, my fire crew. So we were doing that, and I was playing with a lot of this stuff with those guys. So they got to be my guinea pig, same kind of idea. But I also know that when you try to implement that into a big machine like the Marines or like Cal Fire or whatever, it gets really difficult because that's not their standard. So a lot of times it's like, well, we don't need to be doing these things like this. We should be testing this, testing that. How much difficulty did you run into from higher up? So like, what the hell are you guys doing? We need to do the 3-mile test. You should be hiking stuff, that sort of thing. What kind of issues did you run into?
Yeah, it's a great point. I don't want to say stuck in our old ways, and I'm a prime defender.
Oh, you can say it. You can say
it. For sure. And it's like the PT, I even think back in the day, they even call it the daily 7. It was like the opposite of constantly varied, which is totally okay. There was definitely some animosity towards doing functional fitness. It's also, of course, higher risk. And now you're balancing a higher risk operation or training thing with a large group of people. Definitely like, whoa, slow down. I was a little bit fortunate too, because at the time where I started doing this, the Marine Corps actually implemented their first ever combat fitness test.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which is almost like a CrossFit variation of the original physical fitness test, the PFT. So I was kind of like in tandem and parallel with that, which was very fortunate, which was ammo can push presses, ammo can carries, buddy carries, way more functional than a 3-mile run and sit-ups and pull-ups.
Dude, absolutely. 100%. I never got that. That made no sense to me. Here's an occupation where you need to be lifting, carrying, pulling, throwing, and we're like, okay, let's do some crunches to see if you can do that. Lifting, carrying, throwing. It's like, how about lifting, carrying, throwing? What about that? It's a great idea. How about that?
Good idea.
Who knew?
Here's a funny question for you. How do the firefighters respond to it?
Most of the time, well, since I was the captain, so that I was the head guy. So most of the time they were okay with it. In fact, it became known that if you came to my station, you did 3 things. You drank coffee, you worked out, and we would do like all the technical training stuff. And the workout that we did, and everyone knew that when they showed up, they would do our group training, and we would, we'd have our hour of time, and I had, the nice thing is that when in the old days of CrossFit, it was all homemade equipment. I mean, we had PVC pipe rings that we made and, heated them up over the stove at the station and bent them and hung them from the ceiling and like all the old school stuff. And then as the gym our gym kind of grew a little bit, I was able to have a barbell and some bumper plates and stuff like that. So once they realized that they got to do something that was super hard, and then they all felt very like, hey, we're the cool guys because we work out this way. All you do is hike. All you do is you do bench maybe, and or you get on the Stairmaster thing or whatever that is. And there was always a sense of pride. I mean, kicked everybody's ass, and I would run into issues where my chiefs would think, hey, you're doing too much. We don't want to hurt the guys. And it's like, well, okay, this is not a low impact job. So stop training low impact. I mean, you can't just wait to get hurt out in the field. You gotta, we gotta train so you don't get hurt. And so, I mean, it was really interesting. The guys liked it, definitely. Though there were people that were very nervous to come and do it as well. So
naturally. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. Yeah.
All right, Harry. So you got the call or the nod to do the programming for the trials finals. The trials finals went down. Gosh, when did it go down? What month was
it? Like 2 months ago? Month and a half ago?
About a month ago.
Yeah.
December, I think.
And
it was in December, yeah.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be this worldwide event. There's 3 different trials areas. There was Latin American, U.S. trials, and then the Spanish trials, European trials. And the concept was to do this 6-event online competition with only the use of a dumbbell and a jump rope. And now you were the head programmer for this. So how was this presented to you, or how did this idea come about?
Yeah. So Dylan and Matt, I believe together, brought this to our attention, and we instantly fell in love with the idea. What's coming to mind right now is like other companies that have stepped up for coronavirus, and like Rogue. When did they not step up? And they stepped up again with the face mask. And it's just like, you always want to play your part. And like, when that came across as a conversation, it was like instantaneously like, yes, like we can help out by using our nerd powers to make some workouts. and I was actually really lucky as we launched this very small little home gym variation on Comptrain a couple months prior. So we had some experience making some low equipment workouts, and we could take some of those lessons learned and apply it towards this competition. But from a fundamental level, we were honored to be part of it. The meaning behind it was fantastic. And it was just an absolute pleasure working with those guys as always. We love those guys. Matt and Dylan are studs.
Yeah, great dudes.
Did it start off as a low equipment setup, or did that kind of go from one idea and then get forced to change it and then get forced to change it again? Like, what was the evolution of that from like start to finish?
It was definitely an adaptive evolution. We started, I believe, with I think we started with a rower and a barbell, I think.
Okay.
It was still low equipment to start, but at that time, it was before a mini ramp up in Europe. So we're paying attention closely in Europe on how it was responding. Yeah, this was around the games time. And a lot of unknowns, of course. And we kind of started with the theme, the concept. So kind of going into it, we were kind of braced to shift left, shift right. And we definitely ended up shifting pretty hard left, which was down to just those 2 things that Chase mentioned, the dumbbell and the jump rope. But the last update actually came the morning of. We decided to take out the pull-up bar, which was, in the end, an awesome call by Dylan. Minor tweaks here and there to make sure it was still balanced and fun for everybody. But yeah, it was a cool process too, going with those guys. And shout out to them for being so patient with me, allowing me to kind of just bury myself in the office and nerd out, do my thing. Yeah, it was fun adapting with them on the fly.
Now, how much testing did you do? So, it was like rower and a barbell to start and a pull-up bar, and then it ended up with just being a single or a pair of dumbbells and a jump rope. Did you have most of your events created with the first equipment selection and then modify with the new limited equipment? How did that evolve?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually ended up scrapping 4 out of 6 of the workouts.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those, like, I bet you guys can relate to a time where like you had a half done project, but you get to that point where you realize you're trying to force it just for the sake of saving work. And the moment you have that thought, you're like, what am I doing? Okay, let's start from some scratch again. 2 of the workouts, the Fight Gone Badish workout, Garage Fight, and the Jaclyn, the Jackie-esque workout were two themes I wanted to sustain, which were pretty easy with the low equipment, but the others didn't make sense. Yeah.
Was the idea to, I mean, each of those events were basically a version or had an inspiration of classic workout. Was that the intent from the beginning? Was that kind of your initial plan when you went in
Yes.
wanting to have like a named workout and then adjust it somehow and kind of finagle it a little bit?
Absolutely. I have a passion for the classic benchmarks. And I think in a time like today where it's it gets people excited to work out again. And especially those who are stuck at home, which in my mind, I'm the most excited about for this competition. It's those that are like, they love the gym so much that they're heartbroken at home and they can't go there. I was like, what's going to get this person excited to do a workout? And even though it gets them excited, a big believer of that being true for pretty much like everybody across the board. And this funny litmus test that we use candidly is like, I bet you guys can relate too. Like imagine we're going on like a trip and we're going to like California. It's a bro trip, California. Let's do it. And we go to a gym, or we start searching up gyms in the area. And of course, it's SoCal, so there's like 1,000 gyms within 2 miles. And we're cherry picking because that's what you do on vacation. Like, I cherry pick for sure. Yeah. And it's like you see one workout that says like 5K run, and the other gym right next to it is doing Filthy 50. You're probably going to do Filthy 50. And it's like there's that excitement behind it because of that relatability, and it's that like kind of sex appeal of the workout. So I really wanted to target things that excited people, even though on like a scientific level, it might not be the picture perfect best test. But I think of this quote all the time from Pat Sherwood, who's I'm a massive fan of. He said one time, I forget where, but it's etched in my memory, that programming, or great programming, is 50% art, 50% science. And the art's like that excitement. And I think part of that excitement can be drawn back to like relatability of this like artistic, like cultural past. So like workouts like Fight Gone Bad and like Jackie, or Survival Workout, a Death by Workout back in the day, those, they get us excited. I bet like we would be excited to do some of those if we were cherry picking.
Yeah. And I know, like, I honestly believe that, you know, you get people that have done CrossFit now for 5 years, and that sounds like, man, you've been doing it a long time, which is really strange because I mean, I stopped thinking about how many years I've been doing CrossFit now, but without people even knowing it, those old school throwbacks. I mean, where did we do CrossFit originally? If you weren't in one of the 500 boxes around, you did it in your garage, and you didn't have a whole lot of equipment. And that was one of the beauties of CrossFit, that it was so stripped down. So yeah, I think it's without anybody even knowing that, like when you bring it back that way, it puts people right back into that original feeling, whether they had that original feeling or not. Like there's something special about that, that is really, it's super fun. I mean, that's what got us all into it, which makes it so amazing.
100%.
That's a great point that you just made, Harry, is because I think, you know, we're all about 13, 14 plus years into our CrossFit, you know, career, or say just CrossFit life journey. It was like, this isn't an end thing. Like this is just a part of what I do on a daily basis. I can remember walking into an affiliate, walking into my gym every morning, not knowing what the workout was, hoping I would see a workout with quotes on either end of them, knowing it was going to be a benchmark workout.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, sometimes you get down the road, even me now, I might get a little jaded with that since I'm actually doing the programming, but I forget the excitement of a classic CrossFit benchmark workout test is to see thrown out on the board. That's a very good point. Like I said, sometimes you get a little jaded with this. So let's go to, with your 6 events, was there a theme other than, you know, tail off benchmark workouts? Did you have this, you know, Dave Castro says a lot when he programs, like, don't just look at week 1 of the Open. Don't just look at the Open itself or regionals at the games. Look at the whole season. Did you look at that a little bit with the way you put all your 6 events together?
Yes, that's a great question. I bet you guys can relate to it too. There's whenever we're making a program or a competition or anything in general, we tend to use those themes almost as like check marks. Did I make sure that I get this aspect, this component into there. And when I think about it, usually 3 big, if not 4, big like check boxes come to mind. One is short. Let's go short, and that's the Jaclyn workout. Something under 5 minutes. It's pretty much like a sprint test. It's about cycle time. Everyone's going for the most part unbroken, but it's about cycle time. Then you have your threshold style of workout, which is like the classic CrossFit we know and love, that like 8 to 10 to 15 at most minute range, that nasty like go zone. And you can play with intervals in there. You can play with just for time or AMRAPs, but there's like that middle range. And then there's the long range, which is like a pacer workout, kind of like Kelly or like Murph, like really locking in that pace. You're like eyeballing the clock, making sure you're on point for round 7 out of like 10, stuff like that. And the fourth one that's kind of different from time, and it's truly by feel, is something like a grinder of a workout. And the one that comes to mind for me is Linda, that 10 down to 1, 3 bars a deck. Yeah, it's like a slow plodding, like you're just grinding through it. It's not a sprint, it's not a pace. It's like somewhere in the middle, and it's a grind. And try to strike that chord with Devil Woman. That was the pistols, and it might be a sprint for some high level athletes, but for someone like myself, it's more of a grind. And I took
my hand for those of you that are listening on audio.
Definitely grind. And I try to kind of get those 4 concepts in there. And a big believer of kind of going back to like what got us here, this love for this sport. I think a lot of this comes down to like the look and the feel, the taste of the workout, not exactly the science sometimes, because you may have the same movement 2 weeks in a row, but it feels completely different from like this emotional, like how would you describe it on like the emotional level? That seems to be like the way to counter things. So definitely try to do the elegant thing as well, get in all the movements with the restrictions that we have, but also try to capture those 4 different feels. The one we couldn't experiment with too much was the pace or the long one. We had a hard time, time cap, for lack of a better term, given the broadcast. So we couldn't get too far with the pacer, but if there was one, it was Garage Fight, the Fight Gone Bad workout, which is essentially like a 15-minute workout.
Which was your favorite that you put together? I mean, because sometimes like, I know like, and we talk about this all the time, you start creating an event, a workout, whatever, and then you all of a sudden just get super excited about like, this is my little baby that I've created, my little ashtray that I'm going to burn, and I'm going to give it to my mom because I love this one so much. Like, what of those 6 events, what was your favorite one, the one that was most fun, that you were smiling the whole time while you were programming it?
It's such a good like visual. It's like exactly what I probably would do, is like call my mom.
I said, you're in the right nerd room right now. You're in the right programming nerd room.
I found my home. Refrigerator art. So I actually look at the website right now, and I thought this as well going this, but I love Take the Hill, the last one. I'm a big like I love what CrossFit brings to the mental side of us. And like if there was that 11th domain of fitness, let it be mental fortitude.
Oh yeah.
And there's something to be said about that. And this last workout was a survival workout. So you're gonna have a chance to kind of like finish around and be like, yeah, I can stop right here. And
you want to go again?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's like you deep down inside, you know, you have that next round, but it's going to hurt really, really bad. Even down to the reps. It's like, I know I'm not going to finish, but I know there's gonna be a lot of tiebreakers in here. So every rep is huge. How hard do I want to push? And there's something unique that I haven't really found the word to describe just yet on a workout like that, where you're like thinking about the clock and like you're actually kind of absorbing and thinking about how much it hurts. Yeah. You kind of have to.
Right.
You're wargaming it, and you're wargaming your capacity versus the clock, and you're thinking about the pain. Whereas in something like a triple double or the garage fight workout, you're just going. You kind of turn your mind off to some extent, which is unique because it puts you in the driver's seat of experiencing the pain and who wants it now. And I kind of like that component that it hopefully brought. I haven't seen the streams just yet, but I'm hoping for some good fight.
Well, let me tell you, we talked about that plenty, that it was
our worst one.
Oh man, it was like the better you are, the more it's going to hurt. So you get rewarded for being better, which just makes it hurt more. And the difference in time, well, I mean, the difference in time and pace, and you're right. It's like, it comes down to one thing. How bad do you want this? because you can choose that you don't really want it. You'll be flying and you barely make it into the next round. And then all of a sudden the tempo of the burpees is so much slower because you're not going to make it to the next round, but that's a very difficult thing. But what I was most impressed with that one is the fact that now that's after the game, the last two CrossFit games, we've seen a sprinkling of being able to use intervals in a competitive setting. And what I thought that you had, well, basically two intervals and then that death by. And that was like, that doesn't happen in competitions. I thought that was one of the most unique things that was able to be brought to this particular competition because it's something that people aren't used to. Intervals are terrible. Like that 1 minute rest. I would rather you just say you got to go all the way through. Because now I have no reason to not go fast because I just rested for a minute.
Worst station.
Oh man, but I just think that was such a it's such a nice breath of fresh air, and competitively speaking, to be able to have access to those, which we always had access. We just never did it. It just wasn't our normal setup for competitions. And man, I think that's a huge addition to what you guys have brought to the scene as far as like, oh, we're allowed to do this now. That's awesome.
You know what? That's a great point, Bill. Yeah. You know what I would love to see at regionals or semifinals, you were to call it, for the final event is a death by to win it.
Oh man, totally. That is so exciting.
Can you imagine how awesome that would be? You're in the final heat, where everybody stands, where the scoreboard is, and you do some type of death by for the final event.
The craziest thing, like that, we experienced that
on the line.
We experienced that during when we were doing the calling of the events. And here these people, this was the craziest thing about this event is everyone's at home just doing the workout, putting their camera up, trying to qualify, whatever. We take the top people, put them on the thing, and then all of a sudden we are calling this race. And we're like, what? And they're going, and they're this, and they're that. And they have no idea at home that that's even happening. And there's this massive race, and people are, boom, all of a sudden 4 people drop off the screen because they can't make that one, and there's a couple more people to go, and they're flying. It was so cool. It was so cool. And you're right, Chase. That would be an unreal way to finish. I mean, you talk about excitement. That's a badass race. It is super cool.
Think of the dark places.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, look, if you're say there's 5 qualifying spots, you're 6th. What are you willing to do to get that? Because it's not just a one-time race, see how fast you are, because this is, and Harry, we're all in the same boat here, because some of our favorite events are ones where you choose whether you want to be good or not. Not your skill set, not your strength, not even necessarily like your fitness level is the limiter. It's just your own personal choice of whether you want to do it any more or any faster.
So true. It's so true.
Have you seen any of the videos yet, or have you got to see any of this take place or see your baby take shape yet?
Not just yet. I was super fortunate to have 2 fantastic athletes, Tori and Tola, at CFNE that day when we were testing these workouts out. And huge help on their front and kind of battle testing these workouts just to make sure they were good to go from a timeline standpoint. But I haven't seen the streams just yet, and I'm really excited to. Very much so excited. We
have one that you have to watch, and this is a totally random. It is the 13. I don't know if you've heard this yet, but you need to watch the 13 and 14 girls final event, because I think there was a bold claim on the abilities of anyone in that event, and I think you'll enjoy.
Oh, I can't wait.
The head-to-head showdown in the final of what happened there. So we're not going to spoil it. You guys need to go watch the broadcast. But if you pick one that you want to watch to be impressed in a way you didn't think you would be, 13, 14-year-old teen girls, event number 6, Take the Hill. That'd be my recommendation. I don't know about you, Bill.
There was a whole lot of yelling going on when we were watching. It's like, what? How is it possible? They're still amazing.
We're sitting in a hotel room at like 11 o'clock at night.
Getting security called on us because we're too loud, getting too fired up about it.
That didn't happen. Security came by and was like, hey, we're getting some noise complaints. Like, we're sorry. We're sorry. All right, well, since you haven't got to see him yet, it's always fun to see things unfold. It's like, did that meet your expectations? Were you expecting that? What were the draws you took from that? So maybe we'll cycle back around and see after you get to watch it come out. You said your favorite one was Take the L. Bill, I want to ask you what was your favorite event that you got to do?
Oh, that I got to do? Well, and I broke all the rules, Harry, because I would have been put in the 50 plus division. And actually, this is a question that I wanted to bring to you. So I saw the 50 plus division, and it was 35-pound dumbbells. And I was like, dude, I'm not doing 35-pound dumbbells. I can't. My ego is telling me that I can't do the 35. So I did the 50-pound dumbbells. I did the pistols. I did all the elite ones. I don't know if my body's really happy about my decision after that, especially after the
dumbbell
pistols.
Overhead squats.
Oh my gosh. I will say this. I like that one. That one was really fun. And the one that I didn't think I did very well on it, but I really liked how it was set up was the Devil Woman one. The Macho Nacho. The Macho Nacho.
Macho Nacho was my favorite one.
The way that it balanced the strength that you needed versus the skill that you needed. I mean, still strength with the handstand pushes, but the skill, the difference between the two, and the way that played out along the field. You saw people crush through the first, sets of 7, even through the sets of 30, and then all of a sudden they got to the 5, and it was like, oh, this is I really am not having fun right now, and trying to decide like how they're going to break it up and what they're doing. It was really interesting. And I really liked how that was put together. Just the way that the pieces interlocked was awesome. It was awesome.
If I were to pick one myself, I would do the same thing and for the same points that Bill's making is that, and I'll even add the third is like, you had to be strong to navigate the Macho Man complexes for the amount that they had to do. You had to have good gymnastics in order to get through the volume of handstand push-ups what they had to do. And then you had to have good conditioning and work capacity to do those for the entirety of the entire event. So it hit all the pieces in such a limited format. I mean, I didn't do well in that one, but it was definitely my favorite test of all 6. That one was beautifully constructed.
It's so it's so crazy because you think it's only 100 pounds. Like I can do front squats and I can do hang cleans and I can do 100 pounds. Come on, that's nothing. But those dumbbells got so heavy, so fast. I was like, who brought out the 75s? I don't understand what's happening. It's crazy. No, I thought that the programming of that one, I thought that was a good one. I really like that one a lot.
Love hearing that. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Well, Harry, listen, we know you're a busy man. You got things to do, but we appreciate you taking the time. Me and Bill both did not enjoy doing it, but at the same time respected the test that it was that we were.
The only way to describe it.
Did you get to do any of these? Have you done these all?
I did a couple of variations. I did one of those things where it was like 25% of all 6 workouts to make my workout for the day. What type thing? Yeah. But actually, I haven't done any of them in full speed. It's been all like sampling and whatnot. So I got to go back and taste my own.
Go try them. Why don't you go ahead and try on that? What was funny is we tried to get all of our workouts in. So there was, I think the last day that we can get them all in, me and Chase both did 3 on one day. So we did 3 of them in one day. Again, if you're not trained up, I wouldn't suggest that doing if you're not used to 3 all out workouts in a day. But it was fun, man. You did a great job of those. Great job.
Absolutely. And same sentiments is very effective programming for, for what they were, how we felt the next day and several days after. But Harry, again, thank you for taking the time. Congratulations on the position you're in. And, we're excited. What, you're with Comptrain itself. Specifically, what do you do or what people can do to come either track you down, find you, know what you get in contact with you and moving forward?
Great question. So oddly enough, I'm actually really bad with anything social media. Terrible. I do have social media, I believe. I think it's still there. there I am, Harry Palley, I believe, on Instagram. It's probably one way to find me. The most common place you'll probably see me as well will be inside our Facebook groups.
Okay.
I don't know if Facebook's outdated, but I still lean into it for the groups we have, individuals, masters, and teens. And chances are you'll catch me in there from time to time.
And what about, Comptrain just released a new app that people can, what's the interactive works with that?
Yeah, so we're super psyched about it. It's been a long time coming, and we have some fun plans for the not so distant future of just making it more interactive and kind of encompassing different components that we all kind of want to have inside of our programming package that we have kind of outsourced to different things. So huge simplicity guy, and I love having things just simple, and that's the reiterative step process every time with this thing. We're gonna be trying to get this thing so dialed in and simple so that we have programming, the notes, your leaderboards, some kind of social component, really simple stuff, but ideally done very well. The work in progress. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's been fun to see the growth of Comptrain. It's really nice to see the wizard behind the curtain, so to speak. I think people have different ideas of who's doing what, and we wanted to give you your due, and congratulations, and thanks for taking the time, man. I know it's me and Bill could probably spend another 2 hours talking about this.
We'll have to get them again.
Go by in a matter of seconds, but
without a doubt.
But thank you again for taking the time and being on the show.
The honor is mine, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me. Great
Thanks,
to catch
Harry.
up. Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks, man. I'm legit, I could talk about this whole thing, event by event and details for hours.
I'm even way more psyched now to watch these streams. I feel myself already yelling.
Dude, Harry,
watching these.
it was very odd. I didn't really realize it, what was actually happening until probably the second half of the second day when we're doing all the calling. The fact that we are getting excited about these races, as they're happening. One rep at a time, and
live,
and they don't even know. They don't even know their effort of just doing the event, just trying to get into a qualifying spot, to now all of a sudden they're battling for a podium spot and have absolutely no idea. But yet you put us on there, you put them all on the screen, and there's this amazing race. And in all of the divisions, especially when it got down to the end, into the finals.
Yeah, there's a race.
There was a race in almost every single heat, awesome. Every single division. It was a super close race. So it was really exciting.
Why are you resting? Don't you know? Oh no, you
pick up the dumbbell. You have no idea. Oh man. But it was really cool. And then even the other thing was we just had the most fun watching everybody's workout setup. So there were a couple things. There was the fit tent. This lady who worked out and looked like a tent, looked like something you would park your car in, outside. Yeah. This lady in Germany, Britta. Oh man, it was crazy. Yeah. She put up a 2x12 up against the metal cross beam thing for her handstand push-ups.
No way.
Just this board was just stuck up, not a plywood. So there was that. There was this lady Britta from Germany who was in her living room. We called it the Fit House because she either worked out there or looked like she worked out in her kitchen. She had this cat tree on the side with these little things on the wall, and her cat came in, is climbing up the cat tree and up along the wall, and we're freaking out about that.
Yeah, we may have broadcasted the cat for a good 2 minutes at one point in time. Of course, it's 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday. We're just kind of in screw it mode at that time.
Oh man. The kids were the funniest. The kids were one kid's working out in his bedroom. This other kid looks like he's working out in the courtyard. We saw one video, and I was wondering if this was going to happen, and I didn't realize it until the very end. Was multiple athletes in a gym that qualified. So I'm watching this one lady flying, and I'm like, wow, she's got a pace partner right next to her. That man, she's going super fast. And then I look over at the next screen, and there's another one that has wow, and she's got a really good training partner too. And I'm like, wait. That's the same shot from different angles. These two girls going at it. Totally. There were so many cool things like that. You're just not going to get, there's no way you would get that any other time than something like this. It was super fun. It's super fun.
It's so cool.
Well, Harry, again,
So
thanks for taking
cool.
the time. We appreciate it, man. And then nice
Appreciate
work.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and
So
Bill are
great to
gonna
catch you.
do some extra stuff. So you go take care of what you need to take care of, sir. Thanks for hopping on.
Sounds
Thanks,
great, guys.
buddy.
Great to catch up, guys. Take care. Good to see you.
Man, that was fun talking to Harry.
I just love knowing that we aren't the only nerds out there when it comes to programming.
Yeah, and not just there's a lot of nerds out there, but like there was a lot of common ground.
Oh no, all of it.
Programming, benchmark excitement, workouts.
It's an OG CrossFit feel, love for what those numbers are, and what I mean, like you love them because of what they do, and that's what he said when he bring him to the Marines, and was seeing the in his own world, his own personal self, seeing how it could improve you as a person and physically, but just a pure love for those numbers and what they do, and then being able to take those numbers and make just amazing things out of them. Like it's super cool.
I loved how you guys bonded on, how he took CrossFit and applied it to his platoon at the Marine Corps, how you took it and applied it to your crew at the firehouse. And the big thing I really liked about it is that, there's a lot of CrossFit nerds out there, and I put that in air quotes, but what I love to hear him say is that he isn't using the programming to put his name out there. He just wants CrossFit's name out there.
Yeah.
Right. CrossFit programming, the beauty of what CrossFit programming is. And that's when there's someone who really is passionate about what they do, because it's not self-service.
Right.
It's service.
Right.
And I got that vibe from Harry a lot. So it was really fun to have him on. This one is just about the trials program itself. Later down the road, obviously we want to get Comptrain on our series of Behind the Programming. This being our first intro episode of the new series that we will be doing for our regular show and for our Programatrons. But that was really fun. It's always nice to see someone. It was the same with Dave, like you said. It was just like this level playing field of understanding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Harry, Harry's part of something that is just so world renowned right now. I mean, Comptrain's a massive name in programming when people are looking for something like that, and I mean, geez, talk about a humble guy. My gosh, dude. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm just hanging
big
out
fan.
and doing this. But yeah, awesome.
Didn't know you that well, Harry, but now you got yourself a fan.
Totally.
Fan, get with the programming.
Yeah.
But that was fun. So
that was fun.
Harry, Palley, for taking the time. Bill, I want to thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much, sir. You also.
I'm really excited about this series.
I've been honestly, I mean, I know that we got stuck with the whole pandemic and everything, and I think it was good that we looked at the programming of, the games, and we're doing the open right now, but I've been waiting to do this as well. Because I don't think that any of these people have really had a platform to kind of talk about it. It's like they're trying to sell their product and all that, and which is all fine. It's a business thing, but to be able to show your art and your passion, like that's what I've been waiting to see. And I think I can't wait till we get all of the people out there, all of those programmers out there to just come on, let's talk about it. Let's see where you come from. I want to know where you come from. What are your inspirations? What, how do you paint? So you little popular programmers out there, check your inboxes or hit us up. We'll schedule something together, get you guys on the show, and just get into it. It's like, I'm really excited too. I'm glad we dive through the history of what's to come. We've gone to CrossFit Games. Currently, we're in the CrossFit Open, moving to regionals after this. But this is definitely one from a nerd programmer perspective that I've been really looking forward to. Totally. And hey, for all you guys out there, we say nerd in the most loving way because we're in that group as well. So bro, don't make it sound like it's a bad thing or anything. Like we mean that in the most loving team badassery sort of way we can come up with. So we're saying nerd, like that's an endearing quality. We're not saying totally. Nerd. Nerds. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. I love numbers, superheroes, and Star Wars. So there you go. I'll take it. Done. I'll take it. Well, Bill,
thanks again.
All right, buddy.
I want to thank Harry Palley again from Comptrain for coming on the show, and look forward to extending this series next time.
We're out.